Everybody ready?
Yep.
Lake College City Council meeting to order. Everybody please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody tonight for June 3rd, 2015. First item up is the roll call.
Mayor Hamish,
Here.
Councilors Tim Pikowski,
Here.
Josh Werman,
Here.
Pat Evans,
Here.
Mike Mathias.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda for the evening?
So moved. No other additions?
None at this time.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of meeting minutes from May 6th and May 27th. Any additions or questions? If not, I'd look for a motion.
I'll make that
Question, I
motion.
was not here on the 27th, but you have me also as being here.
I'll take care of it, thank you.
Did you? Did I miss that?
Did you just notice that tonight?
Yeah, I noticed it before, but I just forgot to put it.
All right, with the one correction on the 27th.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of the bills to be paid. Is there any questions on any of the bills? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent agenda for this evening. Resolution 13915, approval of May 2015 journal entries. Resolution 140-15, acceptance of May 2015 donations. Item C is resolution 141-15, Minnesota lawful gambling permit, Richmond Lions at Jerry's Firehouse Grill. That's for 9/25/15. Resolution 142-15, temporary 1 to 4 day on sale liquor license for the Country Snow Cruisers for River Lake Days, July 17th through the 19th, 2015. And item E, acknowledgement of People Services May 2015 written report. Is there any questions or comments?
The donations from the Lions were $39.75. Was that specified for any item particular?
Yeah, what we did outlines, park, shrubs, trees, bushes.
Okay. Greenery?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the 14115, is that, I take it that's, they got a raffle that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's their annual
Our
raffle.
annual cash raffle?
Yeah.
Yeah, just want to make sure. Okay.
That was the
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
one second. Was that the Lions Club? I thought I read that one
Richmond
differently.
Legion, Richmond.
Sorry.
That's a Legion.
Resolution 141-15 should be Richmond Legion
Is-
Post, not Richmond Lions.
Is the resolution
I have
right?
it right here.
Yeah, but is the resolution correct?
For the firehouse grill?
Yes,
Yeah.
it said one, but I remember when we discussed it, it was this one.
Okay, the resolution is
The
correct.
resolution's correct, but just on my piece of paper, it's
The
wrong.
agenda. Sorry about that.
That's why I read it off there.
I just thought that didn't look right.
Okay.
So with that correction, that's the Legion, not the Lions Club for the
Sorry.
firehouse.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Now I'd look for a motion with that correction.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second also.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We'll move on to department reports. We'll start with the police department.
Okay,
Chris Boucher.
excellent. Thanks, guys. You guys have what I printed off here in front of you?
In their packet.
There is.
There it is.
Yes, yeah.
Excuse us.
Okay, I'm just here tonight. We're going to briefly talk about March and April. Pretty typical months. Obviously, have you noticed since September, the numbers have gone up, not just in Cold Spring, but not just in Richmond, but also in Cold Spring. So the month of March, there were 75 calls for service. 4 of those medicals, 6 were suspicious people or vehicle reports, 41 traffic stops, there was 37 warnings and 16 citations. One of those included a small amount of marijuana, an open container in a motor vehicle, and there was a DWI arrest in the month of March. There's 24 miscellaneous calls of service in that same month. The month of April, there was 103 calls for service. Again, there's 4 medicals, 15 suspicious vehicle reports, people reports, 54 traffic, 43 warnings, and 28 citations. There were 30 miscellaneous calls for service. If you've noticed, maybe in the last, let's say, 2 weeks to not quite a month, you might have seen more people being stopped. We've been working some more TZD shifts. It's like a safe and sober type thing. It's where we work on, we get reimbursement. So you're going to notice those numbers are going to go up in the near future. So, and then on top of that, the speeding issue. I know Pat had brought that up at the last meeting. We had the meeting was on Wednesday. The next day, Thursday, we had that speed truck. I don't know if you noticed, we had the speed truck out there. We had various officers working that street. I worked it for a while. It's a very slow street. We moved it to Main Street by, he was on the city council. Vote.
Yeah, it's on.
We
it's
put
on
it up there.
Main and Maple.
Yeah, we stuck it there, and we had a little more success on that street. There again, I worked it myself, plus some of the other officers. I think the fastest that I had was like a 47 and a 30, so that's fast.
Yeah.
So we're gonna continue to work on that. Not saying we're gonna stop looking at Second, but we definitely see an increase on Main Street, which is typical.
When you say it's a slow street, that's slow.
It's slow 2 ways. It's the speed. There's no, if I was to sit there for, let's say, give you an example, I sat there one day for 45 minutes, and I think I counted 6 cars.
Okay.
And
Slow as amount of cars.
And slow as speed. In that 30 zone, I think the fastest I had was like a 36, and I don't know if you realize where the 30 begins now, out by the Chain of Lakes Fire Department, out that way. I'm talking 36, up along that area, not by Rugemers or where those people live.
At least I can report back to that citizen
Yep.
that
Right.
the results of what he was complaining,
Yeah, and hopefully he's seen us out there too. I don't know if he's there during the day, at night,
Yeah.
but we had various people. I know Eric and Jamie worked days. They sat out there, came back and was like, "There's nothing to do," And I chose to sit out there, and I have to agree, there just isn't a lot of traffic.
Thank you.
But like I say, we're still gonna stick to trucker. Don't get me wrong, the guys will still watch that street, just like they do every other street. May 20th, we had a bike rodeo, and I know we had a little brief discussion on that. We had about 35 kids, and they had, I'd like to thank Casey's. Casey's a very good sponsor of the police department. They give us all these coupons for when we see a kid wearing a helmet. They give us a coupon for a cookie, a donut, those kinds of things. Whenever we ask them to do something, Joan is like spot on. You know what I mean? So if you ever see her, right, stop in at Casey's, thank them for that. Richmond, make sure I get this right. Richmond Bus Service, they donated 2 $50 gift cards from the hardware store here in town that were given out that night, one to a boy, one to a girl. And I believe you're the one who put that in the paper, right? So we have it in the paper. So we have that. And on top of that, it was definitely the most kids we've ever had. I think they're, like I say, I think what, 35?
Oh, I'd say easy 35, if not 40, 45. I mean, that was the best turnout I've ever seen.
Right.
So,
So we advertised through the school. We had a big truck night. We passed out flyers there. It was in the paper. So I would imagine once we get to that number, it's only going to go up.
Yep.
So which is neat to see.
And you guys had a good turnout too. I mean, you had a lot of the officers there, and guys working with those cones. That was very good.
Yeah, I'm thinking there was like 4 officers that helped with that. So that kind of gives you an idea how many were there for that. Number 4 is we had 3 of us attended the big truck night. That's where like preschool kids, they come to see tractors, fire trucks, police trucks, U.S. postal trucks, those kinds of things. We did that, and that was right before your event, so I'm guessing that had something to do with the good show up there. And then 3 officers attended the St. Paul wreath ceremony for fallen officers. We did that. That was on the 15th. I attended the Wadena. They had an officer that was killed 10 years ago. He was like a school resource officer, and it happens that we are one of the only departments that has a DARE car. So they asked us to bring the DARE car. So my wife and I, we went up there. My wife and I. Let's see. Number 7 just happens to be 7 liquor licenses were issued in the city of Richmond. Angie ran them. They all passed. Obviously, we went to issue those. We're still waiting to do the compliance thing. If they failed, that's where we'd have that discussion about that in the future. And I know you guys don't have number 8, but I just put number 8 in there. Is that I attended the the River Lakes Committee event that was here on the 1st. To give you an idea, just to kind of give you a brief update on how that's going to be, we're going to have 3 officers at the Friday night event, at the event, the dance. We're going to have numerous officers working the parade. Generally, there's 4 to 5 guys and gals that work the parade. There'll be 4 officers working Saturday night, and each Friday night and Saturday night, there'll be 2, if not 3, working the street. So it gives you an idea. We're going to have plenty of people out, you know, roughly 6 a night. That's more than adequate coverage. So that's that. And then I conducted a traffic stop on the 28th during a TZD shift. It was right before, what kind of meeting you guys had that night? I was here. That was something to do with annexation.
Planning commission.
Okay. Right before that event, I stopped a vehicle for a seatbelt of all things, and I ended up finding 35 grams of cocaine in the car. And the best of all the news is the people had $4,500 on them, and whenever we find a felony amount of narcotics, we could take their cash. So to kind of give you an idea, the department's able to retain about $3,100 of that, which we'll use to buy equipment, pay for the dog food for the canines, dog baths, vet bills, various things like that. So that's kind of neat. Yeah, that's about it. That's all I really have. Is there anything else you guys can think of?
I got a couple things.
Yeah.
How's the new dog doing?
Dog is doing good.
Okay.
I should have put that in there. Along with the locating of the narcotics, what we did was we separated the drugs from the money, right? They were already separate. We kept them separate. Then what we do is we call it a sniff around the cash. It's kind of help us to link the two together. Obviously, when you've got somebody that's got $4,300 bills on them, they don't have a job, there's a pretty good inkling how they got that money. But we set it in the council chambers in the city of Cold Spring, set it down, let the dog in the room, and the dog went to the money and indicated on money, telling us that the dog could smell the presence of the odor of narcotics, I should say. So that's just one more thing we could put in a report when it comes time to seize that money. That's not just the officers located it, but the dog itself located this cash, you know, in a sterile environment and indicated on the cash itself. So it's always a good thing. So yeah, so that's how that is. But that's a great point too. I don't know if I told you this or not, but the dog is also certified in tracking now. So if someone turns up missing and, you know, we're not necessarily sure where they're at, or we maybe do have an idea where they're at, we can get an article of clothing, generally is what they do, have the dog sniff it, and hopefully the dog can track that person down. So the current dog that we have, right, is Abby, okay, the first one, she's just narcotics. This dog does narcotics and tracking. So that's a very good asset that we could have here.
Great.
Yeah.
To clarify the tracking, that's not criminal tracking, right?
No. That's not like apprehending somebody, biting someone, stuff like that. At this point, if the dog's tracking someone, and let's say they're found in a pile of brush, the dog may go in there and lick them, right? But a bite dog would finish the deal by biting that person. So this is not a biting dog. I did not want a biting dog. The likelihood of you needing a biting dog has gone down tremendously, especially since we've got tasers now. People generally don't like to fight with us when we have tasers. So, and it's just the liability. I like being able to bring the dog in school, you know, bring him to the bike rodeos, bring him to community showcase. And not saying you couldn't do it with a bite dog, but God, I hate to have somebody get bit over, you know, reaching over for a popsicle or something like that, you know. So yeah, it's just strictly a tracking dog. Yes.
One more thing for the council, Officer Bloom did stop in and, you know, our park signs, no dogs allowed. He asked if it would still be okay to bring his dog to our music in the park nights and introduce the dog to the kids and so on. And Parks Director thought it would be okay, and then I just thought I'd share that with you. Absolutely. Thank you for the offer.
Yeah, and we do have like trading cards that are nice to be passed out so when the kids see the dog, they could take something home and, you know, show their friends and stuff like that. They always like it when they could take a picture home and, you know, I met this dog type thing.
Yeah. And one other thing I have Chris do
Yeah.
is that, do you have any update currently right now where we're at with the hiring of the new officers?
I knew I forgot something. I just met with Marty this morning, and we picked the 15th. That's a Monday. And it sounds like you maybe can't make the 9 o'clock one. I apologize for that.
No, it's all right. We'll try to arrange, see what I can
Okay.
do.
But yes.
Officially,
So it's 9 o'clock. It starts at 9. and it'll be at 9 o'clock until 9:30, and then from 9:30 to 10 o'clock. So it's going to be Chad. I believe Chad Vogt is the first one at 9, and then Anita Hemingsgaard. She is the one at 9:30, and they both currently work for the city of Cold Spring, right? And they both definitely fill the majority of our open shifts. So they definitely have some experience. It's not somebody that just works 1 or 2 shifts in a month. To give you an idea, another thing that we're looking to do is, and our city council doesn't aware of this, so you guys are going to be the first to hear of it. I'm going to be asking for a float person in January 1st. What happens is, to give you an idea, when somebody takes off, our part-timers fill those shifts. And at this point, lots of those shifts, because of the vacation requests and stuff, are filled by part-time people. So if you were to take that aspect of it and put a float person in there, so if somebody wants a weekend off, that float person would be full-time, would fill in those shifts. So we'd have some more consistency, not having, let's say, because right now you could have a Friday night work by person A, and Saturday night could be person B, and Sunday night could be person C. So really, in our reality, one full-time person can work with 3 different people in one weekend, and it's just not it's not safe. You know, it's one of those safety aspects of it. So they're aware of it, but that wasn't recently that I brought it up to them. So they'll hear about it now. Great. Any other questions?
That's all I had.
Anybody else have any questions for Chris?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Taking care of Second Street.
All right, moving on to item B, notification of sidewalk repairs. Any discussion on that?
They were sent out or are going to be?
Okay, I was gonna try to stay quiet.
I can.
At the last meeting, the council directed me to come up with a letter to send to those property owners that have sidewalks that are out of compliance. I think you directed me to try to soften the letter up. I don't think I was very successful on it. I'm kind of rip the Band-Aid off, just let them know that the sidewalk's out of compliance. We included the language that's in the ordinance about what's required. I think it's okay that they're aware that once they get this letter, they have 30 days to take care of it. And by that, I think we mean you have 30 days to schedule it. I mean, call me, call City Hall, let us know that you've got it lined up. In other words, right now, I would assume that the contractors are pretty booked for their summer schedule, so it might be later in the summer before they get at it, and I think that's fine.
We did mention at the last workshop that these folks, if they contact you and say to put you on the city's list, that the city would get one general contractor to take care of the, basically to bid 6, 7, 8 at a time, or whatever it may be. And that way they don't have to run around. As long as the citizen or the owner of the property lets you know that to go ahead with that, then we'd be all set.
I guess I do have one question to add back into this. There is a statement right before this here section that you pulled out in the zoning book, and I was looking at it just before. Do you know in history, has there been any ordinances passed that the council acted upon discussion of sidewalk repairs in the past?
I don't know.
The only reason I bring this up is because somebody today had mentioned about right down here on Wolf's property and Ernie Dole's property, something about their sidewalk years ago was supposed to be fixed. And the council at that time put an ordinance in place, I believe it was March of 2006, stating how we will address sidewalks. I'm just curious if that holds anything in this, or if we're just gonna go with what's in the books now, or...
The council tonight needs to decide how they want to interpret the ordinance. This ordinance, there are some staff who believe that this language implies that the repairs are 100% the property owners. Under our sidewalk restructuring, if there's a restructuring project, I'm not sure I'm even using the right word there. Is that the word I used with you?
Yeah.
Restructuring is a 75-25 split. 75% is the property owners, 25% is the cities. I do need you to decide how you want this to be paid. For repairs, it says that the property owner is responsible for the repairs, maintenance, and upkeep on the sidewalk. Some staff believe that means it's 100%. When I talked to the city engineer, he believes that could fall under the restructuring, which is 75-25. that's your decision to make. And again, along with this is, again, and I'm not meaning to bring up, you have the option not to pull the sidewalk. You may decide not to issue the letter of repair, just pull it. We have no sidewalk policy.
But we have an ordinance.
I'm talking about where the council determines to put sidewalks. If you could help me out, Councilor Evans. We have Evans Edition, Wolf's Edition, Jennings Edition, Rich River Villas. They have no sidewalks. On the Aho project that was potentially coming up, there is a sidewalk on the main street in the plans. Throughout this town, there's no consistency about where the sidewalks are.
The consistency basically took place is when the people requested sidewalks, the city invested, I believe at that time, 50% and 50% the landowner, under the understanding that the owner would take care of the snow removal, what all the other items are in the ordinance book, and then it would go on from there, because they felt it would benefit to the house, they felt that the buffer zone from the road to the house and privacy and things like this, rather than walking on there.
So it was an owner's discretion then?
Yes, when they,
In a new development or what?
basically on the older, the main structure, the main area of town, the original plats and different things, that was hit and miss by the request of the owner. It depends on 3-4 people get together, just on Kings Avenue there. Those landowners got together and paid for their own curb and built their own curb that style back in the 60s. It stays there today yet. Now, so a lot of this was by making sure that the area of that town that had the curb or had the sidewalk, they were proud of that area, and then on the same token, the city would pay 50% to put it in. After that, it basically was 100%. But if we have a restructuring type of item to look at, I'm all in favor of the 75-25 for the simple reason is, everybody uses those sidewalks. That's not the landowner for a buffer zone. And that everybody should be the 25%, of the benefiting. The city did, though, at those years, also prescribe how the width of, not that you could go for a 2-foot sidewalk rather than a 6 or 8 foot sidewalk. They approved this, I believe most of them are 6 feet, Main Street's 8, whatever, because of the industrial zone.
But the new additions, there was no requirement there at
There was
all?
no requirement because it depends on when the development took place and the council, if they insisted it, for, years ago, walking wasn't a big thing. That has turned around the last 20 years. And we were a lot smaller 20 years ago too, so you didn't really make a big thing out of sidewalks. Except in your downtown residential areas. And there's a few blocks that surround 3/4 of it, half of it, whatever, but.
I handed out on your table packet this worksheet that Gory came up with. All the 21 items there, any of those items have an asterisk would potentially not receive the letter because it's considered a 2018 project, potentially.
So majority of them are either over by church, and then the ones on Grant Avenue.
Yeah.
So what's the thought process? Do you want to just go ahead and send the letter, or do you want more time to think about this and discuss it, or? I guess I'm asking what
Well, you did send the letter, didn't you, Marty?
No.
Did not.
We agreed at the last meeting that I would come up with the letter and let you see it.
Draft this.
I think, and this is, I think what we need to look at doing here is that, when Jim brings up a little bit about the 2006 ordinance, if there's any way that we can, look at getting the possibility of a copy of that, to find out exactly how that was all stated and worded at that time. One of the things I think that we still have, again, too, in the town, like Pat was bringing up before too, is the inconsistency of different areas within the city that do have sidewalks and don't have sidewalks. And if it was the landowner's, responsibility at the time that they decided, well, heck, we're just gonna go ahead and put a sidewalk here, and that's what they did. Again, too, like we talked about before, including where my home is that, my sidewalk really doesn't lead to anywhere, so it's kind of one of those weird situations there too, is really that when that sidewalk was built, why didn't it go directly to the road? Or at that time, were they leaving a room in between there? Eventually, was there ever going to be some type of curb and gutter coming in at that time? That's the reason why they didn't extend it to there, because it would have just had to been ripped out. It's the same way. It's the same way with the house next to me. Also, that again too, where that sidewalk again leads to nowhere. So, and then also I think we have to look at the amount of traffic and foot traffic. In some particular areas are different. In any residential area, in my property in particular, does it get used, a great deal? No, not necessarily. There'll be some people that'll be walking on it. Majority, like Pat was just talking about now too, within our city, is there still are a lot of people that still will continually walk on the streets. That's what they do. It's what they're used to. That's what they're used to if they have a certain route that they walk in the city. The majority of them are on the streets mainly because of the amount of traffic and the amount of flow isn't that great on some of our side streets. So are they using these sidewalks to a point where the potentiality of any type of injury may occur? With some of the sidewalks that are let's just say misshapen or heaved. In comparisons, that's. I don't know. That's kind of up in the air a little bit, but I think we need to, maybe at a workshop, I would like to discuss just a little bit more on what that 2006 ordinance has to say in comparisons of where we were at now.
Is it an
Because we haven't
ordinance
had
in
one in such a long time.
We have a
so-
city code book. All of our ordinances have been codified and continue to be codified on an almost annual basis.
Right.
So I don't know, Mayor Hamish, what he read, unless it was in the city code book.
Well, I read in the city code book about the sidewalk, but it said the first paragraph before what you have written in here, it says if the council has adopted a separate code to deal with these, you go by that, whatever that is done. Whatever
Code or policy?
Yeah, policy, whatever policy.
Okay.
If the city has adopted a policy to deal with sidewalks, you're supposed to follow that until said time that the council changes that policy. So if that policy is in place, until we would put a new policy in place, you should follow whatever the policy is.
And that's this written policy right here.
No, this is your code.
That's a
This
code.
is directly from your
It's a
code.
code book here.
So this is, Mr. Mayor, you're telling me that in approximately in 2006,
It's actually in March, and the only reason I remember that is because that was when I came here with my farm coming into the city. And I remember that they acted upon a policy for sidewalks because of
of
the
different
Wolf property.
usages.
Some other people in town here had some issues with, some wanted sidewalks, some wanted curbs, some didn't. And that's where it all came from, and they put a policy in place. And that's because I went and talked to them on how they're,
Well, we're gonna have to pull out the minutes. That's simple enough, pull out the minutes and find out what's written in there.
You can't create a policy. It has to be by ordinance. So I don't know. We can look at it. We can
Look at it.
I think maybe we should, it's a good discussion period, and I think truthfully for the workshop before we go ahead and draft a serious letter, because the thing is that when in turn you go ahead and do something like that, you send out a letter to people that are, somewhat a little bit misinformed, either if they haven't heard, what was going on during our council meeting or haven't talked to any of us, and then all of a sudden they get a letter slapped in front of them that basically states that, what their responsibility is as a homeowner to go ahead and pay their portion to get that sidewalk repaired within 30 days. There's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be like, whoa, what's this all about? And, probably in a little bit of a panic situation.
Sure.
So I think it's probably something that maybe at a workshop, our next workshop probably would be a good discussion period if we can dig up some more information on it, pardon me.
so is everybody fine with moving that?
I'd like to table to the workshop, so like I said, if we can look that up and see if there is
I will go along with that as long as there's a decision made that, because what's gonna happen is we're gonna drag this thing until August, September, and then the contractors are gonna do concrete, are gonna be booked before the fall.
We'll have a
So we
decision.
gotta make a decision in the next month here, and that will give them ample time.
Yeah.
I'm not too excited about the 30 days. If you got a contractor and he says that as soon as he can do some flat work, he's gonna be over there,
Right.
that's very sufficient with me. You know, rather than not contacting anybody or whatever, dropping the ball totally.
Okay. So we'll move the sidewalk issue to our next meeting and have a decision at the end of our next workshop.
So you'll look that up and just see if there's something.
I would ask the mayor to bring it forward because I don't have anything.
Gotcha.
Then we'll move on, road closure for August 23rd, 2015. It's for an open house for a Mark Stan. I believe he's a Father Mark Stan.
Other Mark's in.
We could do that by motion. I didn't create a resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the closure of the road from First to Second Street and Central Avenue on said date of August 23rd.
I'll second.
And have the city supply the barricades.
All,
It's cool.
I'm right to ask you, since we have an officer here that,
That's fine.
right.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll move on. Council report tonight. We'll start off with the EDA. Mike and Pat.
Okay. I have one item, but I'm gonna write it down here and I'll get right with you. Okay, EDA, we've been hard at it and it's kind of throughout the state, everybody's looking into this, is the introduction of solar power. We interviewed, or actually we heard from the third company about bringing in solar power in our area to benefit the large consumers of electricity, which would be the businesses and the city of Richmond. And with that, we're working on very much into that to see if there's property available. I got an email, and I think Mike got an email today from Sheldon Lang saying that he had contacted a few different people saying that that he thought areas that would possibly be interested, and they weren't interested in selling at this time. Which is fine, and to find out if we're looking for approximately a 5-acre spot of usable for solar power, not usable for main business or not usable for housing or something like this. I'm not going to call it wasteland because every land is worth something. So we're looking for that very near to some feeder lines of NSPs, and we've also read that Stearns Electric is getting into the solar energy. The state put this program out there and is backing it to a point where it's definitely going to be very profitable to have this. So we're looking in all aspects of that. Along with that, the business retention and development, she just had that meeting the night that our workshop was. 2 of you folks were there. Just giving an update that they have a few projects they would like to take a look at and see what ideas and projects, so that will not back to our EDA meeting since then. Third item was the idea of possibility of looking at the purchase or swap or coexist some property south of the Stearns County Garage in the intent of making a major public access out there. We're looking at the depths at this time, the possibility of bringing in the DNR, Army Corps of Engineers, the Stearns County and Parks Department, and the Stearns County Highway Department to find out how we can work this out. As of last weekend, they had some tournaments on the Horseshoe Chain of Lakes, which could have very well benefited the city of Richmond very much. And they were stopping traffic on 22 trying to put boats in at the existing access. So the need is there. So we'll find out if it's a workable site or not. That's the last item that was kind of discussed. So we did have successfully completed all transactions, everything else about the fast food area. That's all completed. The reimbursement check to the prior owners has been distributed. I don't believe there was any complaints according to our report from Marty. Everything went well there, so we're moving along. Next meeting is now Thursdays.
On Tuesday.
Tuesdays?
Fourth Tuesday.
Fourth Tuesday, and it's at City Hall. Not at the maintenance building, it's at City Hall, because of the acoustics and the easy accessibility here.
I'll mention that A&W's building permit was submitted yesterday, so that's exciting. So that's been turned over to our city engineer and our city building official.
I noticed there was an engineering or a sign of an architect out there, so.
Yeah, architect is Lon Negan.
Bonhagen, yeah.
So,
And at that time, once they decide a particular date where they're gonna be able to break ground, are we gonna have some type of a groundbreaking ceremony involving
Yes,
the
I've been
city,
given that
the
date.
EDA?
I am so tickled that you asked me that question because it's, I need to let you know of the groundbreaking date. I have it in my office, I'll get that for you, and I'll send an email out to you.
Very nice if you would do that.
It'd be really great if EDA could be there, being they sold the land, the council could be there, and of course, Civic and Commerce would be nice too.
That's where I'm going with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
okay, that's all we have, Mr. Mayor.
Pat for the report. Let's move on to the planning commission. Tim and Josh.
We held our open house with the properties. We sent a letter out saying that we would wish them to come into the city. We held that on May 28th up here. Informal meeting. It wasn't even a meeting to start with, just open house. Came and discussed all the concerns of them and what the city was planning on doing, and had mixed reactions on what people wanted and how they felt about it. But the planning commission is now working on trying to set up a more pleasing offer for them to come into the city, but nothing has been decided as of this point. We otherwise, yeah, we held a meeting after the open house, just quick to discuss what was all talked about at the open house and what, because we had separate groups, what all the groups heard, and that was pretty much it. Our next meeting is going to be June 25th at 6 o'clock up here, unless Tim has anything else to add.
Yeah, no, it was a fact finding. We did get to talk to all the owners that did come in, and we got a little fact finding and their concerns and what we had to offer. So, yes, it was a very good meeting. We thank all the folks that did come in that night. We appreciate it very much so that they did come in. So,
Yes, thank you.
I think we had talked about maybe inviting the planning commission to come and meet with the council on our next council meeting at the workshop
Okay.
on the 18th of June.
June 18th. Okay.
You know, just so we can discuss, so the council gets on board on what you're doing, or have some ideas. We can fill you in on the ideas as well.
That would work for me because I wouldn't be able to make the normal meeting.
Anything else on the planning commission other than that?
That's it. I think that was all there was that we were
All right.
discussing. That's all
Unless
we-
there's any questions.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on to the parks and trails.
Tomorrow morning, we got the Recording Trails meeting. Basically, we're just going to go through still going through the counties and getting all the approvals, trying to get the railroad set up and get some more meetings so we can discuss possible purchase of the trail bed there. So we're just kind of like in the middle of that right now. Last night we had the music in the park last night. It was a great turnout. We want to thank the young band, the Graduates. They were very, very good. Great to see some young folks out there. Even was passing out the schedule, and it was nice to have some residents come up and said they were new to the town. They just moved here and heard the music. They were riding a bike and said, "Hey." They were really impressed by what we have to offer out there. So they were really tickled, pleased that. But nice turnout. Lots of families at the playground. That was tickled to see all the kids. So when you were mentioning bringing the dog out, last night was huge. I know there was a lot of kids out there, so they'll get a kick out of that. I know there's any remarks, any comments from Tammy, I guess, on being on the music in the park, and Mike, yourself.
I thought it was a good turnout last night.
We had a lot of visitors from out of town.
Yep.
I had one woman that pulled me aside and chatted about the park and. There you go. I had one woman that came up to me and chatted about how nice the park was and how nice the setup for the music in the park was, and our new banner looked really, really nice out there too. But she also come and she had seen someone walking the trail around the park, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, there's a trail over there too." And I said, "Yeah." Told her that it connected with the Ricori Trail and with the Glacial Lake, Glacial Lakes Trail, and she said, "Wow, this is fantastic," and she was very, very impressed and very pleased, and who knows, might see her back again. But it's nice to have visitors. That's what the purpose is to bring people from outside of our community to see what is here in our community. So, even just based on last night's concert, it was a success.
Okay, and our next concert is in 2 weeks.
Next concert is 2 weeks on June 16th is Andrew Wallish. He is a graduate from St. John's University in 2010. He works a lot in the jazz scene, but he's also kind of known as a crooner. He does some big band work. He also has another sideshow with a big band sound that he does, like a tribute to Frank Sinatra. And that concert is also sponsored by the Ricori Area Community Foundation, which we thank you very much.
Great.
Any questions?
Okay, just one comment I want to make also is that we do have the farmers market available before the concerts on Tuesday. So if anybody out there is interested in coming to that, being able to sell some of their baked goods or some of their wares, we'd be more than welcome to have you out there. It is free of charge, so all you have to do is come out and set up a table and hopefully be able to sell some of your goods. So, and that's it.
Thanks, Mike. Tim, do you have anything else?
That is it. Oh, and I know Kevin has been cleaning up the trail. I know last week, right before the bike, he went out there and swept it all down and took the sweeper out there. So that should be all cleaned up and ready to go. So that's all I got.
Anybody have any questions for Tim on the parks?
And one other thing too, and speaking of the BRE, the Business Retention, that was one of the things that they were talking about is how much the festivals and the bike trails are a big asset to our city, and the study was done, and we're very fortunate to have both. So wonderful.
All right, thanks, Tim. Tri-City Cable meeting is in July, so we have nothing to report. We only have one every 3 months, so. Then we'll move on to the 125th city anniversary. Pat's gonna representing the.
Mention that the city was.
Mayor and council, it's coming down to the wire. We're 6 weeks away from our birthday bash here. 125 years of fun and excitement is going to be packed into 1 week of just fantastic, great things. Starting off, and I'm going to hold these posters up, hopefully that you can get these somewhat on camera, plus they'll be in the local businesses. Starting on Tuesday night, we have Pie and Ice Cream Social, and the pie judging contest is at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not quite sure who the judges are, but they will definitely be very, very even, and there's going to be different different types of categories I'm looking for. Thank you very much. So followed by the music in the park that night, the Everett Smithson Band. The hot dogs will be served. There will be lunches on the ground and different things like this. So come on out for some free pie and ice cream starting off the week then. Wednesday we have a historical evening of food and history and heritage at Grandpa Jerry's. Is sponsored by the American Legion. These posters will be out again. The tickets are $12 a piece. Under 6 is free. And it is a German style type of dinner. The dinner starts at 5 o'clock. We're having a history presentation by John Decker, who is the proprietor of the Stearns County History Museum. And if you can tell me all these different pictures that I pulled out of the museum's artifacts there, it's quite interesting. I spent a little bit of time over there picking up some of the different businesses and pictures of Main Street. Anyway, it was quite interesting that at one time we actually had a theater in Richmond, was on top of the City Hall, which they did plays, and the local individual people put a lot of time in there. Thursday, July 16th, free to the public, but we would appreciate if you're an adult to buy a River Lake Day button. It's not necessary, but it definitely helps us with the celebration, the week-long activities that we give out there. This is going to be 10 pairs of draft horse teams coming in from all over the county. Some are just a hair over the county border. Some are very local. They're giving a demonstration on what went on years ago, how to harness these horses, the power of the horses, the weight of the horses, and there will be activities such as some wagon rides around the park, also some areas and time to take pictures with these gentle giants, and they are. I stand 6'2", and they're bigger than myself, so they definitely are some wonderful creatures out there, and how gentle they are. So come on out for those 3 days for sure. And then on Friday we have an activity of starting off early in the evening with some ethnic music. Some people from all over the county will be coming and jamming to some people call them old style music, featuring different ethnic groups. And then it will be rolling into an activity of a comedian and magician, excuse me. After that, we have a Wild West show slated, along with some fantastic bingo going on at the same time. So that night is followed up by one of the returning bands from last year, a girls tribute, and it's to Journey basically. It's not quite into the heading of that. A lot of requests are having that band back. Saturday starts off very early with sidewalk sales and different garage sales, moving its way all the way up into the main street. Early kiddie parade at 10:30 in the morning, so the main street will be blocked off for about an hour for that. The 5K and 10K run will be there. Very exciting all the time down at the arena. There will be craft shows going on at the Parish Center. Most of the activities after Thursday nights will be at the Parish Center area and downtown Richmond. In the afternoon, they have some activities planned, such as a petting zoo. The Air Max type of trampoline will be back, followed up by the Saturday night activities, which is the Grand Parade. Just to warn everybody, the start of the parade, such as we did back in 25 years ago, the start of the parade will be a salute to Richmond by using the church bells, and the fire sirens will all be going off for about 2 minutes prior to the parade to notify everybody that the party has begun. After that, the parade, their goal is 125 units for 125 years. They have a lot of donations and a lot of people involved so far signing up, but if you're interested in putting a float in, please do so as soon as possible, so Joan and Lynn can align that all up, make sure that we do have our 125 units, followed by live music, and our grand finale is our fireworks. I think we're noted in the area for one of the better or best fireworks in Stearns County and central Minnesota. So if you have any questions, call Marty over here. Make sure you guys, male, female, young and old, make sure you can, if you can bake a pie, you could end up with a ribbon, so make sure you come and see Cindy or Marty or anybody at City Hall here to get an application, find out what type of pie you're going to be building, baking, creating, whatever it may be. But they will be judged, and we'll go on from there. So, Mayor and Council, do you have any questions? It's going to be an activity, it's a fun-filled week of stuff going on. So, and Marty and Cindy both here at City Hall, they have our cell phones. The people that are chairman or will lead you in the right area of the committees, that if you have a garage sale, we'll give you that number, or if you want to be in the parade, we'll give you that number, or pie, or whatever it may be. Just check in over here. They're kind of our communication centers, so.
It'll also be on the city's website if they want to
Yes.
look it up to
Yeah,
find out
I
dates.
believe the whole brochure is on the city website already,
I believe that's
of the times and the locations of the items that are going on. But there is a chance to come on out and take pictures, like I say, with the draft horse teams. If you have little folks or children or something, just to see how big these things are is quite unique and quite amazing. So,
Anybody have any
anything
questions?
else?
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is, just a reminder, Tim and I, attended the Stearns County Municipal Meeting on May 26th in Waite Park, and the topic was Code Red. Painesville officer brought it up. Code Red is actually a warning system. They use it as for the police, but they also use it for everybody in the area. And they're trying to convince the county to jump on board and see if we can get all of Stearns County to do the Code Red part. It would help you, it would automatically notify you on your cell phone or your regular phone or whatever you want. And if you didn't want to be on it, you could actually get your name taken off if you don't want to be on it. That was the topic of our discussion that night. And it's, actually they're going to meet, I believe, in June or July. The company Code Red is going to come up here and give a seminar to the county commissioners and see if they're willing or wanting to look any further.
We got enough groups, enough cities that are interested in coming in. He's gonna try to get us all together, and could be a rate that'd be well worth it for everyone.
And just for an idea, for the city of Painesville and Painesville Township, their yearly subscription, I believe, was $3,500.
$3,500, yeah.
So it's not cheap, but it's it's all run by computers, and all it takes is somebody to punch it in, and the phones ring. Almost, he said, as soon as you hit the last key, the phones start ringing. So
It can put out if there's tornadoes or weather or people missing or just a mixture of everything.
like for Painesville, they use it because they have the rail line there. If they were ever to have a spill, they could notify a certain area, just draw a circle around it, and everybody in that area would get notified. So it was a neat concept. It's
The township liked it because they don't have any forms of sirens, and they'd be notified through their phones or their phones at the house and stuff like that, their cell phones. So for folks that in them areas don't have any, that's why the township really liked it, because they could come in on that. So
all right. That's all we pretty much had at the municipal. That's it for council reports. For other matters of concern, just a reminder: a joint council meeting on the 18th of June, and is 6 o'clock going to be fine for you guys to start time?
A little early, but we can make it.
Okay. Yeah. And then the other matter of concern is we have water damage happening in the back office here, and wanting Marty to get permission to have somebody come in and look and figure out what's the best route to fix it.
Yep.
He just wanted approval from us that he could go
It
ahead
has
and
to be
get some.
done.
Has to be done.
He showed it earlier before the meeting to myself. There's, I believe, 2 or 3 probably possible ways of taking care of the problem, which is gonna be the best, that's hard to say, so. But to get some bids of different things to do and what different contractors suggest.
Right.
A couple other matters. Go ahead.
Josh?
On the concept of the joint meeting, because some of the people that I talked to at the last planning commission, I notified them that our meetings are on the last Thursday. So just so you know, our meeting will be on the Thursday before. It'll be on the third Thursday. And I don't know if we'll be able to let them.
They're gonna be formally invited to the last one of the month. This is one for the planning commission, just to update the council on what.
Okay, so we're still gonna have our normal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's all.
All right. Thanks, Josh. Pat, you had some?
2 things. First of all, last meeting, we had the librarian here, and she was supposed to be in this meeting. I didn't see it on the agenda.
Couldn't make it.
She couldn't make it, okay? I was
She'll
just
let me
making
know.
sure that it wasn't our fault, that
Are you
that
gonna
wasn't
invite her
taken
to
care of.
July?
The other
She now
item,
gets a copy of the agenda.
Okay.
She'll let me know when she can come.
okay, the other item is I drove the alley in between Central and Hall North, and I understand that the first few feet behind behind the firehouse there is somewhat tar, but after that alley is terrible. We have bladed other alleys in town, and I can't understand why that 150 feet shouldn't be bladed or added a little bit of class 2 to it. It's only half a block. With that, the other half is tar, but there's, like I say, 100 feet or some that is terrible.
I'll check into it, but we do not maintain the alleys, with the exception in the downtown business. Now, what determines when they get maintained is if they have service units come into them. I know that's a little vague, and but I'll check with Gordy on that, and I'll get back to you.
But this is a business area, And they do have service units such as semis going behind
Okay.
the
I'll
processing
look
plant and stuff like this.
Yep.
So, I mean, it,
One of the garbage haulers also come through there. too, in
yes,
LA.
I believe they do, because there's some dumpsters back there.
Exactly, there's dumpsters.
Gordy will know.
And then there's one pothole of tar and you know, these folks, even if it's tar, the rest of the way, can't see why the city can't throw a 5-gallon pail of tar in there. And so it doesn't break out.
I'll look into it.
Thank you very much, Marty.
Anybody else have any other matters? Tim?
Yeah, just a quick reminder, I guess, right before I came up here, I seen on, TV station that, our local Eric Decker was doing a police fund for the slain officers in New York City. And with all the stars of football and basketball and Olympians and everything else, and they're doing tomorrow, so I just thought, thanks for one of our local athletes and students that was here one time is doing a great thing for our men and women in blue. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Others, I look for a motion to adjourn.
You can do that if there's nothing else.
Then we will adjourn. Hey, I was gonna let you guys have your say and say.
If there's nothing else, if they don't raise their hand.